Hi,
I was
everyone.
just, I was just talking about the VP choice.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when you initially heard it?
Yeah, right. Like I'm a Shapiro fan, so I was like, it's gonna be
Hmm.
Shapiro. It's gonna be Shapiro. So when I heard Walls this morning, I was like,
Were you
I
disappointed?
mean, I was disappointed. It's like it wasn't a bad choice. I just didn't understand it until I thought more about it, and I think I understand why that choice was made, but what do
Yeah,
you?
well, this is what I think. I think because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, the more and more I'm thinking about it, I do like this Tim Walz guy for a couple of reasons. One, I think, and there's obviously no guarantee to this, but I think he knocks out two states instead of one. I think he secures Michigan. I think he secures Wisconsin because that the whole Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota area, very, very similar states. They're all very similar, and I think they know him. And I think it helps secure those states. So now you just need to get Pennsylvania. And I'm, I can't imagine that the Harris campaign and everybody else didn't talk to Josh Shapiro. And Josh Shapiro had 100% guaranteed them and made them feel like, look, you got nothing to worry about. If you don't pick me, I'm not telling. It's not like I'm going to go in a corner like Bernie Sanders did with
Right,
Hillary
right.
and pout about it. In fact, if you watch the rally today, which we have some clips, he was one of the first speakers and he was very excited. And, these guys have to realize that you're on the short list, but you might not be picked. And if you're not picked, you have to accept it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that because they were saying like she didn't make the decision until this morning, like she had
Mm-hmm.
to think about that. So it definitely was between Waltz and Shapiro. And
Yeah.
like I said, I really thought about it because I know that they had to wait and I know they wanted to secure Pennsylvania because the other ones, I mean, Pennsylvania's that's the big cheese. We cannot win without Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
But Shapiro has that issue with his staff committing that sexual assault and the way he handled that
Yes.
that started swirling around last week. Then you had crazy Fetterman going around, like, and I don't think that any of the progressive had any whatever. I really think it's that the way he handled that sexual assault because there's such a short amount of time that they couldn't fix it, change the narrative on it. Like if it was a regular situation and they would have had the time to work with that, I think that
Right.
she would have chose him. Like I think she wanted to choose him because we saw the fucking fire that he brought when he came out of there. Like it was, I mean, Waltz is good, but Shapiro is next level good. And I really think that her ticket would have been great with that next level, whatever. But I really think if she chose him, that Trump and team would have been hammering on that sexual assault. They would have been talking about it like he did it, right? And they would have confused the whole narrative around what happened to make it look like he actually did it. And she would have had to that would have been the focus and that would have brought her down. So like they said, do no harm. She had to think about like he's not harming on purpose. It's just that baggage that he would have brought, I think would have really it would have
Yeah,
done
and we kind of live in this day and age too. It's kind of, they would have harped on that, ignoring all of Donald
yes,
Trump's sexual assault charges
absolutely.
and his rape,
Absolutely.
being liable for rape
Yeah.
and all that stuff. They would have
Yeah.
completely ignored
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But you know what, Lana, I'm starting to get this feeling that anymore that the way they keep trying to spin things, I don't know if you're getting the same feeling, but I'm getting this feeling that Americans are kind of sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, all right, we've
Over.
been through this for 8 years. We've heard the same bullshit for 8 years over and over and over again. Most of the shit that you say is either bullshit or never comes through. I mean, at some point we got to stop believing this shit.
Yeah.
I personally think, I don't think it mattered who she picked. Even
were-
Pete,
Yeah.
people, I've heard a lot of people
Kelly would
say,
have been
well, you
fine.
can't pick Pete because if you have a woman and a gay guy, you're definitely going to lose a lot of these male votes, which a lot of the male votes you were probably going to lose were going to be some of the male votes that weren't going to vote for him anyway. So I don't know if he really lost, but
They couldn't risk it. I get
but
it.
I
It's too
don't know if
important.
she could have gone wrong with no matter who she picked. I think with
Right.
Tim Walz, I think what's going to be really good for him is a lot of people don't know him right off the bat. So it's hard to attack him. It's hard.
Right.
The only attacks I've seen so far is that he got arrested for a DUI like 30 plus years ago. I mean, if that's the hardest hitting thing that they've got on him,
Right.
I think they're in big, big trouble. And
Right.
I'm guessing that just in the short amount of time they had a chance to vet, and it is a scary thing when you vet for a short amount of time. You saw what happened with Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
But the difference is that I feel like somebody like Tim Walz is nowhere near a Sarah Palin. He's not going to blow up later and be some whack job.
Right.
That he's going to be exactly who we see on these videos.
Right.
So if you don't know,
hilarious.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, just so hilarious and out of place. Like his wife came up there, and I'm like, "Oh boy, did she think she was going to a PTA meeting today? Like, did anyone not tell her
but
where she
I think
was
that's
going?"
sort of the charm, though.
I know
it's
true,
the charm
but
that
hilarious.
You're really starting to try to relate with the normal regular people instead of the people wearing the fancy dresses and the fancy.
No, it's absolutely true, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was.
I was like, she didn't even do her hair.
Yep,
it's like she got the plane and just went.
And him, he would have showed up in a t-shirt if he was allowed to, but
oh my god, I was trying to make a graphic for our team, and I'm like, everything is him with like t-shirts and beer and holding dogs. Like,
and guns, and he's got a camouflage hat on. So I think it plays. And see, the difference between him is he's not wearing this stuff to try to fool middle America. That's genuinely him. But on the other side, he genuinely is a liberal. He genuinely cares about people and how they're treated. And so we could talk about him here a little bit more. But if you don't know Tim Walz, there's a nice video that I found earlier. This gives you a nice introduction to him, and you can get a better idea of who he is.
Life is as much about the lessons you learn as the lessons you teach. When I grew up, community was a way of life. My high school class was 24 people. I was related to half of them. I learned to be generous towards my neighbors, compromise without compromising my values, and work for the common good. My dad was in the Army, and with his encouragement, I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17. I served for 24 years. I used my GI benefits to go to college and become a public school teacher. I coached football and taught social studies for 20 years. And I tried to teach my students what small-town Nebraska taught me: respect, compromise, service to country. And so when I went into government, that's what I carried with me. I worked with Republicans to pass an infrastructure bill, cut taxes for working families, signed paid leave into law. I codified abortion rights after Roe got overturned. Because I go to work for the common good. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Because that's what this election is about. It's about your future. It's about your family. And Vice President Harris knows that. She too grew up in a middle-class family. She too goes to work every day, making sure families can not just get by, but get ahead. We believe in the promise of America, in those values I learned in Nebraska, and we're ready to fight for them. Because as Kamala Harris says, when we fight, we win.
Lana, let me ask you, if before the Kamala Harris part of it, if you were watching that video and you had to guess what side of the aisle he was on, what would you have guessed?
Democrat.
You would have.
He's caring for people. What do you mean?
All right. Well, that's a good point. But when you hear, he was in the military, he's a football coach, he was a school teacher, he was all this stuff. Oh, maybe the school teacher part, you'd be right. But
right.
But No, you're right. It's a good answer. I tried to set you up and you ran right over my fucking question like a boss.
Like Republicans, they go to Yale. They're elitists. They're not these people. What's her name said it today? Sarah McCaskill, or yesterday. She's like, Tim Walz is who Vance wants you to believe he is.
Correct.
Like, and that's true. He's not that guy. Republicans are not that. I would never think that that's a Republican.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? That's a great answer, because I really was trying to set you up to say Republican and you laid it out perfectly. You're right. But at the same time, he does have those relatable qualities, that football coach thing, in the military and everything that it's hard for, because I did a show last week, and I think part of the strategy for the right is they think they're going to shame heterosexual men into voting for a woman president. And that's a big thing for them. Right. But, what does she do? She goes out and gets, the stereotypical heterosexual man who's the football coach, who's the military guy, and all this stuff. And just, the regular Joe. And I actually think it's going to play well. I think it's also going to play well very well in a state like Pennsylvania. And that's why I think they strategized this well, is that they thought they can knock out two birds with one stone. I think they already figured they have Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. This one, they think will do it. They also think, with the help of Josh Shapiro, that he plays very well in a blue-collar state like Pennsylvania.
Come on, Josh Shapiro. We're going to make you part of the administration.
No question. I mean, that's it. And again, he's younger, and I think he understands his future ahead of him. I think they all understand. And again, I would be shocked and disappointed if Josh Shapiro said, well, fuck this, I'm pissed and I'm not going to do that. But you never got that sense, and you would never get that sense from anybody really that was in the running and didn't get it. I think Mark Kelly was even kind of like, he almost feels like he pulled out before she even made a decision.
Yeah, he was almost relieved, like, you know what? I don't fit. Like, sometimes right? You want to be the vice president, but you also know, like, I'm really not a fit here. Anyway, like, he probably felt it, like, no, we didn't. We are not a fit. I can be a service some other type of way for this ticket. So I appreciate that.
I'll tell you what, Lana, you talk about the American dream. This feels like a movie. It feels like just 2 weeks ago, nobody knew this guy was. And now all of a sudden he's the vice presidential candidate.
2 weeks ago, people didn't know who Kamala was either. So
but I think she had more recognition than Tim
the
Walz,
name. I just mean they knew her name. They didn't know her.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would push back a little bit on is that I knew Kamala, and I know because we follow this, but I think some people just knew her just based on the Senate hearings that she used to have, where she used to grill. She was like,
that's the
feature player.
That's us, though.
I know.
Us with people who don't watch Senate hearings.
But I think what I'm saying is even the people like us didn't know who Tim Walz was.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, it's, so that's what, and he just comes out of nowhere. Now he's the vice presidential candidate. I mean, nobody, literally, if you told somebody to list me 20 people you think is going to be vice president 3 weeks ago,
not him, right?
If one person said Tim Walz, they would have went, what are you talking about? Who is that guy?
It was interesting. It's like, I feel like she got herself a Biden. I
said the same thing. He's a younger, kind of more together Biden.
And he don't look that much younger either, but he is a younger Biden.
Do you know them two are the same age?
Yeah.
That is incredible. No. I'll tell you two people who better get prepared, and that is Maya Rudolph and Steve Martin, because Saturday Night Live is going to be asking them to play. I want to get to this clip as well. Kamala Harris, the clip that we saw last time when Joe Biden called Kamala to tell her that she was going to be the vice president. She did the same with Tim Walz. And here's the clip on that.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it'll be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you. I have really enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different and beautiful ways. And we're going to do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win this thing.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Now, obviously, we know this is sort of manufactured, but it is, it is genuine as well. I mean, could you picture Donald Trump picking up the phone and doing the same thing with JD Vance? He didn't even fucking know who he's picked. Somebody told him, we're putting JD Vance in. He's like, fuck, I don't care. I'm too good to lose. I don't care who you put in there.
It's pretty ridiculous, the contrast. Like, it's just like, that's literally why they keep MAGA in a bubble.
Yeah.
MAGA can't see that, right? Like, they can't see that joy. They can't see what the Democrats are offering. It's almost like they're on. It's kind of crazy because they're not banned from TV. They're not in Russia, but they act like they're banned from watching anything else. Like, they self-suppress themselves.
That's exactly what it's a self-ban. They ban themselves on watching this shit. And that's why we've said they're the most uninformed people in the country. If they allowed themselves to at least, see something. And I'm not even talking about other side, any of that shit, just anything that's not batshit crazy podcasters and news channels and radio hosts and all this crazy stuff. I mean, and I think they kind of, they'll see it. Like I said, I got idiot friends that I'm in a text message thing with, and I send them clips and I send them all this stuff, and they just LOL fake news. And I'm like, it's the actual person. They're actually talking. What are you talking about? This is beyond ridiculous. So I think they avoid it on purpose. They want to stick their head in the sand. They don't want to know that there is something that counters what they think.
Yeah, because if they watch like that, or even the DNC convention, there's no way in the world, if you're human, that you're not going to get because when we see happy thoughts like that, hormone, those things start running through your body, like you're not blank. So like you don't want to see it because you actually don't want to smile. You don't want to like it. So you're just like, it's kind of crazy.
Yep, no question about it. It's kind of like a little kid. You're like your 5-year-old saying the F word. I mean, it's hilarious. You don't want to laugh. Right. You suppress it so you don't make them think.
Yeah. A little kid like, I'm not going to be happy. The candy. And you're like eyeing it. It's just, I don't know, man.
I mean, I think they're going to find themselves to be very sad and very disappointed in November, although some of them I know are feeling it.